So what we're going to talk about today is how you can get out of your broken state, right? Whether you're broken from a relationship, you lost your job, or anything, right? You don't feel worthy anymore, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. And let's talk about it for a little bit. Most of the time when you're in these places, what happens is you start to look for information. You start to look for things outside of who you are. And you go online and you're in a broken place, and you should be very mindful of the content that you absorb. And let me tell you why. A lot of it is incredibly toxic and deceptive. And you think that because these persons use a bunch of fancy words or studies or this and that, you actually think that this person is true. And it's not the case, man. A lot of people that go to college, and I'm going to be honest with you, know very well how to manipulate better. It's like college made them proficient in giving you information to manipulate the mind of you. They know some of that stuff don't apply to real world. And they use it because they know a lot of broken people are sensitive and they're in a lost place, in the darkness, and they manipulate them. This is why the internet can be very dangerous. But something I did when I was out there, when I was searching for knowledge, I came up with this phrase: any information that is absent or voided of personal or self-accountability, I question, especially on this path. Because you will become a student of bad decisions. You will become a student of bad decisions. And that's the truth. Joe, you're talking crazy. I had this friend, she hit me up. And she told me that, she was in a bad place. And she started blaming, how her ex-husband and, it was her ex-husband and he was just terrible, he was a narcissist and all these other words and stuff like that, right? And I was just listening and listening and listening and listening. And I asked her, I said, well, what did you do? And she said, I allowed this and he did that. And she started telling me all the stuff that never took personal accountability. So, conversation went on and I said, okay, that happened 4 years ago, right? She said, yeah. I said, okay, how many relationships you been in since then? She said, 2. So, were they wrong too? And she said, well, Joe, you got to realize this, the dating pool is terrible. I said, no, you became a student of bad decisions. Straight up. It's nothing else. Because you failed to take a personal accountability of the things that you need to change. You failed to be grateful at whatever time that they may have given you because it's not your own. You failed to understand that you have the choices in order for you to stay somewhere or go. Let me explain something to you about making choices when you get to a certain level. You have to understand this society's standard of practice is to make you feel as though that you have no choice, that nothing is in your power, because then you start to look for someone else to do it for you, right? And that way they can take the choices that you can make for yourself and for who you are, and you give it to them and they will do it for you. That's just how it is. But the moment you empower yourself with logic, empower yourself with understanding, and empower yourself to know that you have the right to choose your destiny and where you want to go in life and what you want to do in life, and you accept the things that you cannot change, right? And you focus more on the things you can. You see? Then you'll be able to move from a different place. But if you keep blaming other people and you keep saying that it's that person's fault and that person's fault and they're no longer there, I get it. It was their fault 2 years ago. It is now 2 years later. Where are you now? You can blame them there. Let's give it to them. Say, hey, yo, it's your fault 2 years ago. But where are you now? Where's your life at now? Is your life any better? Are you living the greatest life you can possibly do, or are you faking, pretending online and making everybody else see that, pretend that everybody else is actually fooled, or you're trying to fool everybody else? Come and look at me. Give me attention, because I want to take away from the fact that I don't live the way I want to live. I have given up my choices and my rights to choose over my own life. I have allowed other people to govern me and tell me how I'm supposed to live through social media addiction or whatever the case may be. I've let this person tell me how I'm supposed to feel about a situation. Sound familiar? See, when you're in a broken state, nobody wants to tell you this, because broken state is currency. Broken state mean I can get your rights to choose. I can dictate and determine your actions, moods, and standards. That's a broken state. So why wouldn't somebody want that? You can live a free life, man. You can live a wonderful life in acceptance and saying, hey, you know what? I had a bad breakup. Hey, I had a bad marriage. I ain't the first person to do it. It's not going to be any news anchors outside saying, this just in, the first person who ever got a divorce. No, it's not none of that. It's an assembly line for a reason. You go into the divorce place and you go into the courthouse, they look at you. They say, oh yeah, what's going on? We got the assets. Okay, we got this, you got that. The house over here, we're going to get, all right, cool. You cool? We're going to divide everything into half, and you get this, and you get that, and whatever case may be. Bam, you cool with that? Yeah. You cool with that? Okay, bam, next. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do this. You're going to take your assets, blah, blah, blah. You're going to do this. What, I got any kids? Okay, we're going to take that. We're going to take that. Next, bam. That's the reason why there's a case number. Because that's all you are. All the feelings and all the emotions and all the other stuff that you went through doesn't matter. And you're divorced. And that means that you are no longer beholden to that person. But let's get back to the video. You have to understand that when you are in a broken place, you're more vulnerable. You're more vulnerable to the things you see and feel. You're trying to get out of this feeling, and you think these distractions and you think all these things make sense, and it does sometimes, and sometimes it don't. And then when you get out there, right? When you get out there and you say, I choose to be single, or you know, this job is not for me. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try something else, which is cool. But what are you going to do? Are you going to exhibit the same characteristics and behaviors that got you where you at? Or are you going to change? Or are you going to be better? And take your rights back. And be careful what you hear from people who don't even know you, who are manipulating your mind into thinking something that may not even apply to you. I heard some stats the other day somebody said, and they looking at me like I was going to get mad. He was like, oh, this is going to get Joe mad. And I looked at them and said, oh, okay. That doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me. So why should I worry about it? So, well, what about this? You know, you need to do this. I'm not responsible for no one else but my own. I'm only responsible for my kids until a certain point, and this is when my responsibility lies. Anything other than that, it is almost impossible for me to do. You see the difference? I never allowed someone to tell me to be responsible for how somebody treated them. That's not my responsibility. I'm not that person. And when you start getting on your being from your brokenness to a healed state, and when you start trying to heal, you're going to understand these things. A lot of times, 90% of the times, people are trying to heal from traumatic events, from whether family and friends, or relationships. But when you understand is to put yourself first, as I say all the time, you realize that that was the key. That was the component. You forgot who you were. You allow somebody to tell you that they know what's good for you instead of you knowing what's good for you. So as I close this video, I'm asking to always filter things through that lens. Is it good for me? Is this information absent of or avoided of any personal responsibility and accountability? And if it is, I question it. I question it. Take care. Remember to put yourself first.